So hello everyone. This video I'll actually be showing you how to change the coil springs on this car right here, which is a 2005 Mercedes Benz C240 4MATIC. I might have to retake that part. So anyway, I already got into it here. First things first, you want to take off the wheel and tire assembly, and then there are going to be two 10mm bolts on the bottom of the lower control arm. Yeah. So this sits like that. They're going to be over here and here, and these bolts are actually to keep this cover on the control arm. For some reason they have that there. So next thing you want to do is you want to spray everything down with penetrating oil. As you can see, I already took that out, but I'll tell you why in a second. So, and then over there, loosen that with an 18mm socket. Just loosen it, do not take it out. Then over here, there's going to be a 21mm nut and a 22mm bolt on the other side. So you want to use a 22mm wrench, like this one right here, and a 21mm socket, and loosen the bolt over here. Make sure you use penetrating oil and get this out. And then now I'm just gonna punch it out with a hammer. As you can see, the reason I'm doing the coil springs is actually, I don't know if you can see in there. Let me just turn on the flash. But there's a piece of it that is broken in there. I thought it was the shocks, but it's not, because the shocks are not leaking and they're in good condition. So yeah, I'm gonna get this out and then we'll go to the next clip. Okay, so now the next thing you want to do is over here on the back side. If I can get a clear shot. Actually, I'll go from the bottom. Yeah, see? So I have my ratchet there. The reason why my ratchet is there is because there's a E16. Actually, I'll just show you. So there's one of these fasteners over there. E16 is what it's called. I don't know where even the light is showing or not. I can't even get to it. Yeah, right there. So that's the E16 fastener. And then on the other side, there's going to be a 16mm nut. So you're going to have to remove that. So you're going to take this. This is your 16mm nut. And yes, get it on there and then loosen it, right? So only thing that I would suggest is you take your jack and jack up on the bottom of the control arm here. Reason for that is because once you loosen the jack bolt or the shock bolt, then the whole thing is going to want to fall down, and the spring still has some tension on it even though it's broken. So it could be quite scary, maybe even cause some injury. So that's why first thing you want to do is just jack it up, and then slowly, after you have released that bolt, you just slowly release it downwards and it'll come out. So yeah. Okay, so I have gotten the shock bolt out. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand actually where the jack handle is and lower this down, because if the spring is to fly off and shoot out or something, then it's not gonna hit me because I'll be behind and I'll be using the car as protection. So I'm actually gonna do that right now. Go from here. See how it's slowly moving down? Okay, so now that I have all of the weight off the spring, car is back there, and now I'm gonna put my jack back under the car where it was before, just as an added level of safety, which in this case was under the differential. And I'm just gonna okay, so pretty much this is where I just left off from. So what I did was this control arm was up touching the the knuckle, and then I just pushed it down a little bit. See how over there, just a little bit, and I was able to get the spring out along with the 2 broken coils. And unfortunately for my car, also on the other side they are broken. The spring is broken. I was noticing that the car was sitting a little too low, so that's why. So now I'm gonna go and get the parts, and then the magic of editing, I will start from here again. So yeah. So it is now the next day. It's also nighttime. I just got done doing that side, so now I'm gonna share my experience with you guys. First of all, how I took this out, it turns out was not completely wrong, but a little bit wrong in the fact that it's harder to reinstall that way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna reconnect the shock bolt and the bolt that goes to the knuckle. So these 2 bolts, right? And I'm actually gonna take out the bolt that's holding this control arm to the subframe, so that it's easier to line up the spring, and it's also easier to line up that bolt in the end. Because what I was having trouble with was actually lining up this hole here with the with this bushing right here. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and then yeah, I'll show you guys how to put this back in. But it's you know, you run into stuff like this, and I'm not gonna go and say that, you know, I can't make mistakes, because this is what happens when you work on cars. You figure it out as you go. So yeah. Okay, so I have my car on the ground right now because I finished the job, but I forgot to showcase this before. Basically, all the bolts over there, so we have the one connecting to the knuckle, which is right near the tire. Then there's a shock bolt behind this cover, and then there's this control arm to subframe bolt. So the 2 bolts on the end, you're gonna torque them to 60 foot-pounds, and then the one in the middle to 50 foot-pounds, with the suspension loaded, which means you have to jack up on the suspension until it's basically holding up the car. So yeah, that's about it. I couldn't record that part because I was a little busy in trying to get this car done quick, and it slipped through my mind. But that's what you have to do, and then that's complete. Then suggest taking the car for a road test. I just did that. So as you can see, the suspension is it's not like too low. So if you got lowering springs, obviously you'd be a little lower, but then you'd have to go lower shocks as well. Yeah, so it's not too low, and it's nice height. One other thing, after you're done changing the springs and everything, I suggest getting a 4-wheel alignment on the car. Anything suspension related, I suggest getting an alignment. I actually changed this tie rod as well. Sorry, not this tie rod, the other tie rod on the other side. So I kind of have to get an alignment for the steering at least. But now that I also changed the springs, I think it's even more necessary to get an alignment. So I'm going to go do that tomorrow. But that's another thing that you need to keep in mind. Beyond that, I mean, nothing else. Just make sure all your bushings are happy. They're not, you know, destroyed or anything. And if they are, then you should replace them. So I don't have a video on those right now because the bushings in this car are still good. But yeah, that's about it. Really, it's not that hard of a job if you just put your mind to it, and also if you can just be a little bit patient. So yeah, that's about it. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.